So, what's happening, guys? It's your host Soujyo for Game Advisors TV, and I want to just get this out of the way and say happy holidays to everybody, if you're celebrating them. We'll get this podcast rolling just as soon as I can get my fingers unfrozen from the keyboard. Yeah, it's a little cold out there right now. I know. You can call me a wussy all you want, but hey, it's cold. So besides being cold, I've got a new video for you. This time it's featuring the Galil. I'm not exactly 100% positive on how to say that, but either way, that's not going to stop me from shooting the crap out of people, so let's go ahead and get moving with that. And as usual, I'll be adding some commentary to the video, but this time it'll be a little bit less and I'll just let you see what's going on for yourself. But don't worry, I've got a series starting up here that I'll update weekly that will go over every weapon in the game. And I'll teach you how to master that weapon, or as they say, become one with the gun. I have no idea why I just used a horrible impersonation. Please don't be offended, guys. I probably just need to get a little bit more sleep. So, moving on. So, this is going to be taking place on one of my all-time favorite maps, which would be Array. And I'm going to be using the weapon, the Galil. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't care. Anyways, I'm going to be using the reflex scope and suppressor because I like it to be silenced. I like to be sneaky and stealthy on maps when I'm playing TDM on hardcore mode, which is what I'm doing here. Of course, I'm going to be using Warlord to use both attachments to the weapon and Ghost, and if you couldn't guess it, I'll be using the Ninja as well because I like to be sneaky. But before we get too far along into the video here, I'm going to go over the reason for using a reflex sight over iron sights. And really, the main reason is I like it. I like to be able to tell exactly where my shots are going to be landing at. I mean, the iron sights are good on most guns. I enjoy them quite a bit, but the reflex does seem to have a nice lack of recoil, kind of like iron sights, while still giving me the benefit of a red dot scope without the kickback, the recoil that you get from the small magnification you get off the red dot scope itself, or the ACOG. Both of those will add a lot more recoil to your gunshots, but it gives you a little bit of a zoom, so if you find that advantageous, I mean, go right on ahead and use it. I'm not going to call you a noob for it. A lot of people like those, but I personally find the dot actually a lot more accurate and useful for long distance shooting compared to the iron sight. As you may have noticed, I'm using the camera attachment in this class setup. And I know that might seem a little weird, but I've just started messing around with it the last couple of days and found it to be actually quite useful. In this video, you'll see me use it quite a few times, and I'm beginning to feel it's a little more useful than a claymore. And I'm pretty glad I messed around with it due to the fact that everybody's using flak jacket and hacker now that you can't really expect a claymore to do its job. It's not really going to protect your backside very well. And perhaps the most impressive thing is that I'm finding an offensive use for it, unlike the claymore, which pretty much has one purpose, and that's defensive. And like I said, it's really not cutting it anymore. If they're running flak jacket or hacker and they see it, or even lightweight with marathon, they're gonna run right past it half the time. The damn thing triggers so slowly. And I know, it really boils down to where you place the claymore. I mean, placement is everything. If you put it in a crappy spot, it's just not gonna trigger in time, even somebody who's moving as slow as crouch. But when you compare it to the multifunctionality of the camera, where you can use it offensively or defensively, it really doesn't hold a candle to it. I think you'll be surprised that if you use the camera properly, how effective it really is. I didn't know this until I started using it, but when you see an enemy on the map, they'll show up as a bright white instead of your teammate wearing their natural looking camo colors. So you can definitely differentiate between teammates and enemies when the camera's looking at them. And on top of all that, most people either think you're a complete noob or have no idea what the camera's for, so they'll either stupidly shoot it and alert you to somebody being in the presence of your camera that you may not have seen, or even worse, they'll stand there like they've got stage fright or something staring at the camera. I really think the most important thing about it though is that when you're using it offensively and somebody knows you're there, they're trying to get the angle on you or use a defensive barrier to their best advantage, while you can see exactly what they're doing and sneak around on them on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up for a minute and let you watch the video. I know, finally, huh? So hopefully you guys are starting to get a feel for how to move around the map with the Galil, and roughly how the circular spawn system works on Array. Also, something to keep in mind anytime you're using a full automatic weapon, especially like an assault rifle, bursting is everything. Going full auto makes it very hard to keep your reticle or your crosshair on target, and there's a good chance that while you're spraying wildly, they're going to notice where you are and then kill you instead. But in the event that you find it necessary or you just happen to make that mistake, make sure you know what direction your recoil is on your particular rifle. On the Galil, it has a sort of upwards right bound direction of recoil. Now a lot of guns have that, but some are a little more heavy on the right hand side and some are a little more heavy on the vertical side. Now one last thing to remember is when necessary, shooting from the hip is perfectly fine. A couple of times in the video you'll see I'll get the kill without aiming down the sights. I didn't really have time to, so don't shy away from that if you need to. And as always guys, thank you for watching the video. This has been your host Soujyo. Before you go, be sure and rate the video, and as always, we welcome your comments, as we're always open to viewer ideas on how to improve our show. So with the finalities out of the way, I'm going to hop into Black Ops and hopefully I'll see some of you guys out there. Good luck and have fun fragging.